Oh, welcome. Welcome. We are here today for the Healer's Transformation, where we talk about our personal transformation that led us to pursue a career in the healing arts or in helping others to transform. And today I have the pleasure of talking with a graduate of the Trauma Energetics Coaching Certification Program, Kelly Hudson. And
Hmm.
she is a comedy writer and performer. And now she is using her new skills that she's learned with this program. And I'm really excited today to learn about her story and how she's using this work with her clients and how she's transforming the world. Thanks for being
Hmm.
here, Kelly.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to talk about all this because I think, as my brother would tell me, he's a therapist. He said I'm in the honeymoon phase of healing where everything is so magical and exciting. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, nice to be in the honeymoon phase of this part of your
Hmm.
life, but I'm
Hmm.
assuming that you have not always been in the honeymoon phase
Hmm.
of your life or in this part of your life. So I would love
Yeah.
to hear from you, like kind of your transformational story, and I'll let you just start wherever you would like to start.
Yeah. So it's interesting when you get to be my age. I'm so old. I'm 40 years old. Just kidding. It's
Oh,
not it's not
ancient.
old at all to me anymore. When you get older and you're getting, I don't know, you've made some progress in your career, you don't really think you'll have this feeling again, this honeymoon phase feeling. And I realized at one point that I really do encompass that phrase, jack of all trades, but I'm a master of some. I'm not a master of none. I truly do master some of these subjects that I get really, really excited about. Um, and, when I was a college student, my uncle sat me down and said, "Now, Kelly, I'm going to do a voice now. Now, Kelly, I think that you need to strive to be a scholar." And I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "Commit to something and really get to know it inside out and become a student." And I was like, uh, that doesn't really apply to me. I was in a liberal arts college, sort of just feeling my way through the whole thing. And I was interested in so many things. I was like, I'll just be a creative writer for a living, which, could be laughable to some people. It's very hard to make a living in creative writing. So basically I got interested in film early on when I was in this journey in college, and then very quickly got back into theater, which I'd done some of in high school. Joined an improv team, totally fell in love with improv. I really thought improv was dumb before that. I think I had seen a lot of bad improv and I was like, this is dumb. I saw a lot of like games and, comedy sports, which of course those performers are amazing. It's just, it wasn't really my style. And seeing improv in its more pure form was very exciting to me. And I realized through my studies, I studied film, performing arts, and the main skill I came away with from college was video editing. So I moved out to New York City. My goal was I will perform. I'm going to like join the improv world. And there's UCB is like UCB Theater is Upright Citizens Brigade is huge in this world of improv. And they were very established in New York, and I got into it hard. I was performing several times a week. I was in like 5 indie teams. I was, auditioning for the house teams as much as I could and wanting to be a part of that. And in the meantime, I made a living as a video editor and I
Kelly,
did
can I
documentary.
just interrupt you for a minute? I would love to hear, what did you love about improv? Like, what was
Oh
it that you
man.
thought it was stupid before, but like
Oh my God.
started doing it? What did you love about it so much? Or what do you love about it?
It was like the guaranteed way to get to that flow that I think a lot of creatives or artists know what I'm talking about. Or even if you don't consider yourself a creative or an artist, you know what I'm talking about. There is a flow state in so many different types of work or play.
Mhm.
And it was play. It was play for adults. We don't have that opportunity often. And it was this pure flow state And I would say some of the most insane, brilliant, weird, crazy things. And start some story or start some game, or it was such a great way to do comedy for me. And I had a hard time sitting down writing jokes. I've never been a joke writer, but this is a way for me to be funny. Like, I've always been a funny person, I've always wanted to I wanted to do comedy in some way. I was like, oh, I should write something. Oh, it's so hard. And getting on stage and just letting it flow was so exciting for me. And I felt that I had the spark. Somebody said something early on, like, you're really good at this, and I was like, okay, thanks. And then, kept going with it. So yeah, I felt good at it. I felt funny. It was like this very pure thing that I could do where I was creating. So, moving on from there, I basically, in that world of performing, everyone strives to be an actor or a writer. And I got my first writing job with Adult Swim. And then after that, I went to Los Angeles. I worked with Funny or Die for a while. I worked on a couple shows that were on streaming channels, and also a company called Super Deluxe. And, those jobs were not exactly what I wanted to do. And it was because, the streaming comedy world, it basically doesn't exist anymore. And it was kind of a blip. It was probably a 10-year period where it had a heyday. And then Facebook sort of ushered it out. And a lot of the people that I would work with would go on to work at SNL, or one of the big shows, one of the Tonight shows. Anytime I would try to fill out like a Tonight Show packet, I would be instantly bored to tears. I was like, I do not want to look at headlines and make a joke about it. Like, that is not where my talent lies. So I felt limited. I had really enjoyed working in a room of writers and writing shows, TV shows, and I wanted to be a TV writer. And my husband, we met doing comedy together, and he was having a lot of success with that, just sort of going from one job to the next. Once you sort of get into a show, the way the Writers Guild is set up is you have to move up, right? You get a different title each time. So he was moving up. I hadn't really gotten that first job. And it was really hard. I then decided I wanted to be a mom, and that complicated everything further. And then the pandemic happened, and that complicated everything way, way more. And my representation that I'd been working with ghosted me. And it was devastating, but then such a gift, because I really gave up this I'm going to be a TV writer thing. It's like, you can't say you're going to be a TV writer for 8+ years, even longer. I was like, I don't want to be, I'm not, I realized that I was not getting this energy exchange, right? That I love. And I had felt it with performing on stage. I had felt it when I wrote my own short film and I produced the whole thing with this group of amazing people and put it out and started submitting it to festivals and stuff. But all of that it is so much work to feel that direct energy exchange within this industry. And so I started to think more about what I'm good at, what I want to do. I tried my hand at teaching creative writing because creative writing was one of my first loves and something that changed my life. I wanted to be one of those teachers to change like a middle school student's life. And that was fun. Teaching wasn't really my forte, but I tried. And, I had this energy healer that my friend had recommended me to see. Her name's Maxine Dillon, and she practices here in Los Angeles. And I had been going along this spiritual transformation in tandem with all of this. I'd say it really started the year before I had my first child. And I was really settling into something when I decided to have a kid, and things started to change. Things needed to change. I needed to believe in something, like, finally.
I needed to
And
believe in something.
I
Wow.
did. I really did.
Mm,
And I think it was part of like needing to be stable. I think I've really gone into a lot of my professional history, but what I'm leaving out is the years of um oh man, panic attacks, health issues that riddled my entire 20s while I was in New York. There were many times where I almost had to move home because of these problems. Um, and so, in addition to needing to believe in something, I also just felt unstable. I felt like, oh, I just don't want to have to take medicine for the rest of my life. Like, what is actually wrong with me? I was diagnosed with PTSD, and that answered a lot of what had been happening to me. And I started to find spirituality in a way that made sense to me. I got really into Eckhart Tolle for a while. Um, a lot of that really resonated with me. I started listening to different podcasts that resonated with me, and I
mm,
realized like my spirituality has to be my own thing that I build. And starting to see this energy healer. I had my first session with her was over the phone. We did a consultation. I was just bawling my eyes out because I had this otherworldly experience where I was able to go back and be with myself at a time where I needed myself. And that was my first taste of that, which I've tasted it many more times. And I have to tell you, oh my God, it's magical. Um, but I was like, this is something. And then, I think it was years later until I had my next session. And again, it was something. And those sessions really caused me to make a huge pivot and a big heroic leap to say, I'm not trying to be a TV writer anymore. I want to be a healer. I want to be a healer. I will never stop being an artist. I will never stop writing. I will never stop performing. These are things I love to do too. But this is like, I could do this. I could really do this. And getting into the program, she just sent me a link. She's like, I'm going to send this to you. It was so serendipitous. It was very just like, okay, my life, I could feel it, my life's about to change. And it happened to be when I was just getting pregnant with my second child, and I took the class in tandem with having my daughter. I had her about halfway through.
you
And
did.
yes, and I just kept going with the class. And man, it is, doing this work has like really brought, you know, everything that's happened in my life full circle. And it's, my my profession is now, it's more holistic. Like it's my profession, it's my spirituality, it's my energy exchange, it's my, I don't know, my physical well-being. All of it is sort of nurtured with this work, I would say.
Mhm.
That was a mouthful. Do you have any questions about any of that?
Love to backtrack a little bit to what were you like when you started seeing your energy healer,
Hmm?
and how are you different on the other side of those sessions before you decided to do this professionally and get the training? Tell
Right.
me the Kelly before this type of work and then
Yeah.
after this type of work.
Kelly before was very scared of literally everything. There was sort of a running joke in one of my offices. I was often the only girl in my offices, in the comedy world, and there was just a running joke of like, it was a running list of things Kelly's scared of. Everyone would make fun of me. Oh, she's afraid of
Oh,
skeletons. She's afraid of mummies. She's afraid of this. She's afraid of it. Like so many. Oh my God. And I would laugh along with it because it was hilarious. It's like, why? Why am I having panic attacks every time I see a skeleton? Like, why is this even just like a Halloween decoration? And
mm,
it was like, okay, so I have a lot of fear of a lot of things, and I am so sick of it. I am so sick of it. I recognized like I am being limited and I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I kind of made this vow like we're going to live without fear, you know? It was like a New Year's thing where I don't usually make a resolution, but that was like, okay, I can commit to that or try. And going to the energy healer, it gave me a path. It gave me a path to look at the fears, understand where they were coming from, and heal that part of me. Stop making fun of myself, and
Yeah.
and be like actually really really compassionate to the child inside me
Uh-huh.
with these real fears.
Did you try traditional therapy and
Yes.
the traditional route to heal your PTSD and your panic attacks and your
Yes.
medical
And it has
issues?
helped a lot. I would say that my physician trying to help my physical ailments, which were acid reflux, degenerative disc disease in my back. Those were my two main issues. The physician didn't do anything. And, I went to many different people and nothing helped. It wasn't until I got into therapy, it took a while to find someone that I really, really connected with that taught me mindfulness, introduced me to meditation in a way where I could actually do it. Like I couldn't do it before. I would start to panic anytime I closed my eyes or start thinking, start listening to my heartbeat, whatever it was, I would lose it. And this therapist really taught me a lot. And one day she got out her diagnosis book and she's like, "Listen, I'm just going to list these things here, and this is the textbook. You can take it or leave it." She's really gentle with those kind of diagnoses, and I think she really doesn't like to focus on labels that much, and that was helpful. But she was like, "Okay, you're experiencing almost everything in this list for someone that has post-traumatic stress disorder." And I thought, "Oh, thank God." Like the list helped. It really did. It was like, "Oh, I do all those things and it all makes sense, because of significant trauma that happened in my life." I was a survivor of sexual assault that happened when I was 18 years old, and pushing it down for so long really did a number on me. And moving to New York was not helpful. It made me feel very, very unsafe. I think if I lived in New York today, it would be such a different story. But at the time, I felt unsafe all the time. And that led to all those fears and all those things. And so this therapist really helped me get on the road to understanding my symptoms, understanding what kind of healing needed to be done.
Mhm.
And, she would do a lot of, focusing on some memories that would come up sometimes too, a little bit of the same stuff that we focus on, but in a different way. And I would say that, energy healing really it 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 was so efficient. It was unbelievably efficient to where I was like, "Oh, I'm diving into this. I'm not even aware when it's happening, and I'm not afraid." I'm not like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about this." It's painful. It's very painful, but it's like a guiding that is so gentle, and then you do it and then you get through it and then you can believe, "Oh, I got to the other side of that." So there, that proof is really something. I've definitely had to I've tried medications as well. Some were helpful, some weren't. Um, but yeah, mostly it was energy healing that really got me into this like spiritual world, into this world of I can do this on my own, all of that.
Mm. So the Kelly now compared to
Yes.
before, you have less fear.
Way less
Are you?
fear. I am a mother of two. I feel so confident in my ability to be responsible for two children. Not only that, but also myself. I've talked to a lot of people who are like, "I don't want to have kids. I don't even know how to take care of myself." And it's like, yes, I felt the same way. Like I felt completely I was destroying myself. Like if we're being honest here, I was really, really putting myself in a lot of unsafe positions. And the things that would work to alleviate my pain were often drugs and alcohol. And now that just isn't even an option. It doesn't Getting to that point with any of those substances doesn't ever happen again. And it's very easy because I have so much confidence in myself to take care of myself and I know what's good for me. And yeah, everything has changed. and nothing really scares me anymore. Really, nothing scares me. I kind of tested myself. I'm really interested in the world of sex and BDSM and kink and how this relates to people's psychology and healing. And I went with some friends to this like BDSM convention fair. It's more of a celebration of being gay and more the celebration of the leather community and all this in San Francisco. And I saw some of the most quote unquote insane things that I've ever seen in my life. And then I had this ability to pause and be curious about my fear and like really get to the bottom of it and sit with it and be like, oh, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong here. Everyone's having a great time. There's no one's doing anything they don't want to do. No one's getting hurt. At the end of the day, I talked to one of the policemen there and I was like, did you have any trouble here? He's like, some people had a little too much drink here and there, but no issues. And I was like, how could it be that there are thousands of people here, mostly men, and there's no violence? Like, I don't understand. The policemen were there to protect the people in the fair from the people that might come and have a problem with it. But yeah, I think I love testing my boundaries now, and I love testing, yeah, whatever it is that I'm afraid of. I want to face it, and it's really exciting now, and I have a lot of confidence to do it.
Yeah. So that's the difference. You were
Yeah.
able to move through the experience and
Mm-hmm.
get to the other side, which gave you the confidence now to face
Yes.
fear and the ability to slow down and observe yourself and
Mm-hmm.
notice that you are in fact safe.
That's right.
I think I am. I'm safe.
Yeah. And I mean, my husband describes me as our, like, the family's rock, the family's beacon of peace and calm, which is, I've never heard a better compliment in my life. It really feels so good to know that my kids can come to me when they need to regulate themselves, and I can be that help to them.
Mm. Well, tell me about how you're using this work now professionally.
So I'm really, really excited because I'm starting a new career basically. And I right now I'm taking a business class. I have my certification. I'm taking a start your business class. Um, and once I launch, I just can't wait to see what this turns into, and see organically who comes to me and what my specialties end up being, because I have a lot of ideas of what I want that to be, but I think obviously, I haven't seen my best work yet. And so far, I have two clients. One was my case study during my certification, and one is another person that I know. And I have had so many moments where, oh God, it just feels like uh the light of heaven is shining down on me. It's just like one of those moments where you're like, like the impossible is happening. I am witnessing a miracle
Mm.
because, I think before my first session, I was scared shitless before my first session with my case study. And I got in there and, I couldn't really tell you what happened, and I won't, obviously, because it's confidentiality. But there were so many breakthroughs, so much that I realized immediately that I could offer this person. And I was like, okay, here we go. And there have been like really hard sessions where I feel like many times where I'm like, what next? Okay. And then we get through it. And it's always, it always ties up, and it always happens. It's a lot like improv, actually, in that way, that you get on stage, you might be scared shitless, you might have no idea what's going to come out of it, and you might even be convinced that whatever comes out of it will be bad. You might have some bad shows. You might have, some sessions where, ooh, it's rocky, but it is magic every time. It is magic every time. So I've already seen so much change in these people and so much possibility. Someone coming in just feeling terrible, feeling sick in their bodies, sick in their heads, not even wanting to leave their house. And it's like, by the end of the session, these things are so alleviated, and I helped. And I got to help this person do it, by
Mm,
themselves. I got to guide. I
mm.
really, really like being a guide. It's very exciting for me.
Yeah, I love how you can make that correlation between the experience of improv and the experience of being in a healing session. And,
Yes.
you named earlier, like when I asked you what you loved about improv, and it's that flow, right?
Yes.
I experience that when I am working with a client in a
Yes.
session. And so for me, that is my improv. And so I
Yes.
love how you tied those two together for yourself. And I was thinking that for myself, that that's what gets me excited every day to show up for my clients and with my clients, to
Mhm.
be a partner with them on this magical journey, that it's just this flow that happens, that I have
Yes.
no idea what's going to happen or where it's going to take me, but it's always exciting and it's always surprising through
Yeah.
the ups and downs of the experience. And sometimes it's pretty heavy with trauma,
Yeah.
and moving through the old traumas. And sometimes it's unexpectedly fun and lighthearted. And, it's just, you never know what it's going to be. But the capacity to hold space and allow for that flow
Hmm.
is, I think, a very special gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really, I mean, once you have that gift, it's, I don't know. I keep using the word unbelievable and miracle, and things are just happening in my life that I never could have foreseen. There's this feeling of um, self actualization, self realization. These are things that I want to help people do for themselves too. Um, but this program, I think, has helped me into that space in a way that nothing else has. Motherhood really helped that. I would say just seeing myself be a mom was like, wow, okay, I guess I can do this. I'm going to help these people survive their younger years. And, I can do this. Um, but when I proved to myself that I could do this, I just, it's just a part of yourself. It's a part of myself that I really always have wanted to be, and that I knew I was, but had a hard time seeing how I could get there. And we did this exercise in class, right? The heart-centered meditation, where our mentor Laura Fine had narrated this amazing YouTube video, and it's like got visuals and music, and she sort of guides you into this heart space, and you see this higher self, um and that meditation, I saw the higher self like physically, and I felt it, and it was so me. It was so me. And I saw two different versions. I saw a baby version that was like really, really, really innocent and all knowing and faultless. And then there was this adult version who was like, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. And that's how I feel when I'm in a session, is I've got it. I've got it. You can relax because I've got it. I'm again drawing a similar parallel to performance, which, people always say the best performers are those that make you feel relaxed, like they've got it. You don't have to feel nervous that they're going to do something weird or dumb, or, like they're just so on top of it that you're just like, I can relax and enjoy the show, And it's the same thing. I feel like I've got it. It's not a feeling I've ever felt before on stage or anywhere else. So
Mhm.
it's been really cool.
I think you named the core concept of this work, which is to
Mm,
help you access your your own identity as this divine eternal being, that higher
yeah.
part of you that's got it.
Yes.
Whatever it is, that part of you's got it. Right.
Yes.
But so many of us are identified with our wounded, traumatized self, that we've lost access to that part of us that does have it, that is okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And my goal is to help people get there with my client sessions, but to teach my students how to be there themselves so that they can hold the space while their client achieves the same thing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say there's this thing that happens sometimes when you're diagnosed with PTSD, or when you realize that you were a victim, or a survivor. You know, these words, victim and survivor, and people really identify with these words, and I did too for a very long time. And I would say yes, I I am a survivor for sure, but I don't feel the way I did. It took a long time to just sit with it and be like, okay, this horrible, unthinkable thing happened and I had no
Mhm.
control. And these kinds of things do happen. So there's this long, long recovery period. And now I just feel so much more acceptant and confident in myself. And I don't have to be that person for the rest of my life at all. And that's true for everyone, no matter what has happened to you. You don't have to be that for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be the story of your life is I grew up, this horrible thing happened. That doesn't
Mhm.
have to be the story.
Right. Well, it's an experience I had, but it's not who I am.
Absolutely. It's not who I am. It's good. It's good to know that. Feels really
Mhm.
good.
Well, Kelly, I am so excited for your future clients to have the opportunity to get support from you. I
Mm,
love um, the uniqueness that you bring to
mhm.
this work and your beautiful example of um, healing the healer, how the
Mhm.
healer, we naturally have these abilities and gifts that we want to share with the world, but we have to go through our own healing transformation to have the
Right.
capacity to hold space for others. So thank you for sharing your story on
Of
our healer's
course.
transformation. And we're going to make sure that our clients have, or our listeners have access to your information so
Absolutely.
that they can find you if they're interested in learning more about you.
Yeah, I'm on my way to making a website and I will eventually. For now, I'm still ironing everything out about my business, but you can always contact me at citizenhudson@gmail.com, citizenhudson. And I have a podcast that I've been working on the last couple years. I've been on hiatus since I had my kid, but I really want to bring it back. And it was such a beautiful part of my journey. It's called What Are You Into? And it is about sex. It's just talking about sex in a way that is shameless and unfiltered and so exciting. And it's been such a learning experience for me. And if you're interested in that topic, which I think a lot of people are, you should check it out.
Well, I'm definitely going to be checking that out. Thank you
Great.
so much for spending time with us today, Kelly. I really enjoyed hearing your story, and I really appreciate your being willing to share some of the details of your healing process with our audience.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly.